Let's start today's session, and today we are going to study about OOPS. So first we will see what is the full form of OOPS. OOPS is Object Oriented Programming System or Structure. Fine. It can be system or it can be structure. Let's see. Now first, what is OOP? Object Oriented Programming. What is this? OOP is a paradigm or methodology to design a program. Or we can say OOP is a style or it's a way to or methodology to design any program. Fine. So different languages which follows the OOP methodology are Java, C++, C#, Python. And the first object-oriented programming language is Smalltalk. In OOP, we will discuss about object and class. So why these languages are called object-oriented programming languages? Because they follow the object-oriented features. That's why these are object-oriented programming languages. So objects, we will start with objects and class. Along with object and class, we will discuss 4 basic principles or 4 pillars of OOP. What are these pillars? Data abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, and encapsulation. And we will discuss one by one. Object. So object is a fundamental unit of object-oriented programming, and it is known as entity. Objects are categorized into 2 types: real-world objects and software objects. Now, first we will see what are real-world objects. Real-world object is a specific item which is visible to us and has a definite shape and size is called real-world object. Whatever item which is visible and has some definite shape and size is called a real world object. Like any object, like car, table, pencil, clock, TV, bed, every item which is visible and has some shape and size, definite shape and size, is called real world object. Each real world object contains characteristics and behavior. Fine. Now the characteristics are the features and behavior means the function. Like if I take living thing cat, I am taking one example, cat. So cat has some characteristics and behavior. So what are characteristics? Features of cat, like color. Cat has some specific color, its size, its breed. So these are characteristics. Fine, or we can say features. Now the behavior. Behavior means what are the functions of cat, what they do, what they perform. They can run, cat can sleep, and cat can eat. So these are called behavior. Whatever they perform, whatever they do, or their functions are called behavior. Fine. Now I am taking one more example of non-living thing. So what we are discussing? We are discussing the real world objects. Fine. So in real world objects, we have discussed living cat example. Now we are discussing non-living book. Now book also have some characteristics and behavior. So book is also a real world object. Like what can be the characteristics of book? It can be its cover, pages, topics, size. So these are features, or we can say characteristics. Now what is the behavior? What is the function of book? What is the use of book? We can say. Now book is used to read and book is used to prepare notes. So these are the behavior of book. Fine. So we have taken 2 examples of real world object. We are moving ahead. Software objects. Now what is the difference between real world object and software object? Real world object, just now we have discussed, which we can see and has some definite size and shape. But software objects are the objects which we create while writing a Java programming. When we write any Java program, whatever object we create, those objects are called software objects, which cannot be touched. It's a software. So a software object may be defined as an object that is created while writing a Java program. Fine. The characteristics and behavior of real world objects are referred as data member and member function in case of software objects. So in case of real world objects, we described its characteristics and behavior. Now in case of software object, the terms will be changed. Meaning will remain same, but the terms will be changed. Now the characteristics will become data members and behavior will become member function. Fine. So in programming, we will refer these terms instead of these. Now for example, I am taking an object student. Fine. The student, what features of students can be, what are the characteristics, but term we will use data members. Now these characteristics will become data members of student. Name, student's name, subjects, marks, age, height, color. So all these are features which we will refer here as a data member. Now the function. What functions can be performed by students, or what functions or what methods we will use in programming. And those will be, for example, we have made any method accept data and result. So this is a programming, we have to follow the syntax. That's why I have taken here as a small letter. The A function name will start with a lowercase letter. Fine. The first letter will always be lowercase. And if there are two words like accept data, then without space we'll write, and the first letter of second word will be capital like D. Fine. So accept data is any method, and result I have taken another method. So R will be small. So always remember, in method we take the first letter of method will in lowercase. Fine. So this is the example of software object. I hope the difference is clear between real world object and software objects. In fruits, we have talked that fruits are used for making juice, for festive occasions they are used, and for breakfast. So their behavior will be same. The characteristics will be different. So all apple, banana, pear are used for breakfast or for juices. So now their behavior will be common, but they have different characteristics. So each object of the class fruits will have different characteristics with common behavior. I think it is clear. Now let's see one more example. Instead of fruits, I am taking flower. Now what can be the characteristics of flower? Its color, smell, these are the characteristics, and the behavior. Behavior I am talking like what is the use of flower? It is used for decoration, it is used for worship. Fine. So these are the behavior. Now I am taking objects. What can be the objects of flower? Rose, lily, lotus. For example, 3 objects I have taken. So these rose, lily, lotus have their own characteristics. They have different color, they have different smell, but the behavior will be same. All 3 will be used for decoration purpose as well as for worship purpose. So, and this is the relation between class and object. I think it is clear. This is class, these are objects, and objects are also called instance of its class, which follows the blueprint of class and possess the characteristics and behavior defined in class. Fine. Now we will talk about 4 main pillars of OOPS. Very, very important. Now the first is data abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, and encapsulation. We will see data abstraction. So what is data abstraction? Data abstraction is an act of representing the essential features without knowing the background details. So it gives us only the essential features, it shows us only the essential features without telling us the background details. This is called data abstraction. For example, when we use the digital camera, we don't know the technology behind it, we don't know the what mechanism is followed in the internal part of the camera. We are concerned about the buttons, few buttons which will be helpful in operating the camera. So this is the example of data abstraction. Whatever information is needed, only that information is shown to the user. Other which is not needed, which is not essential, that will be hidden. Fine. Now if I take one more example, like when we install the software, we get only exe file which is required to run the software. No classes, no methods and packages are shown to us which were used to develop software, because that information is not needed for us as a user. What we want only exe file to use that software. So this is called data abstraction. Whatever is essential, that only is shown. Fine. I hope it is clear the meaning of data abstraction. And who will decide what thing will decide that which information is essential and how much is essential. Now the data abstraction depends upon the purpose. What is the purpose of application? What are the users of application? And what are the areas of application? So it all depends upon the purpose, the user and the area of application. Fine. The main advantage of inheritance is any data member or method can be reused without defining. Now, whatever the data members and methods we have used in parent class, we can use those data members or method directly in our subclass or derived class. Fine. So we can reuse the members or methods without defining again. I hope it is clear. Okay. Now this is, it shows the inheritance. This is parent. These are two subclasses of animals. These are two subclasses of carnivores and these are two subclasses of herbivores. Fine. Polymorphism. Now the polymorphism. Poly means many and morphism means forms. Means performing the same task in different ways or forms. For example, if I take the real life example, when you are in the classroom, you behave like a student. When you are in the market, you behave like customer. And when you are at home, you behave like son or daughter. So one perform or present different behavior. Fine. This is called polymorphism. Performing the same task in different ways. Now in language of Java programming, what does it mean? See, when we use the same method with same name in the same class differently, like we use the same name for a method in two different classes or the same class. First we will take the example of same class. Now suppose there is a class. In that class there is one function add without any parameter. These are called parameter when you pass something in this process. Fine. So there is a method without parameter. Now we can take another method with the same name. Fine. With the same name with two parameters. Now the third method with the same name with three different parameters. Now in this class we have method with the same name and they will perform differently. They will perform differently. The name is same, but they will perform differently because of these parameters. Fine. This is called polymorphism. This we have taken the example of same class. Now if the classes are different, different means one is base class and another is derived class. In base class, if you have taken any method, in derived class you can take the method with the same name, right? But these methods will behave differently. This is called polymorphism. Fine. I have given you real life example as well as in the terms of Java programming. I hope polymorphism is clear. Performing the same task in different forms is called polymorphism. When you use the same method in the same class, like add, this when you use in the same class, this we call it method overloading or function overloading. But when you use the two different classes but the function name will be same, that is called function overriding or method overriding. Fine. Now the last one. Last is encapsulation. In encapsulation, we bind the data members and member function under single entity, and that is object. What happens in encapsulation? Data members and member functions are combined together under single entity, and that is called object. Now what is the advantage of this? This is the main advantage of OOP over the procedural programming. In procedural programming, global data can easily flow from one function to another function. So due to that, data is very insecure because global data can be accessed by any function, and if small changes will be there in any function, the whole program needs to be changed. So major changes we have to do in that. So that was the main disadvantage of procedural programming. Now this is the main advantage of OOP, that data member and member functions are combined together under single entity, and it is a feature of OOP which restricts the free flow of data from one object to another. In encapsulation, data doesn't flow from one object to another object freely, or data cannot be accessed easily by any function. There is a restriction on the free flow of data. Fine. And the data member and member functions are wrapped together in an object such that data can only be accessed in the associated function. These points I will explain through a diagram. So let's see. See, what is this? This is an object. What is an object? Object is a combination of data and function. So data and function we have combined together in single entity called object, and this data cannot be accessed by this function. This data can be accessed by this function only. Fine. So it restricts the free flow of data from one function to another function. So there is a restriction on data. Due to this restriction, this data is very secure. So this is the main advantage of OOP over the procedural programming. In procedural programming languages, which language can, like QBasic and C also. Fine. So now how the one object interact with other object? Through functions. Fine. I hope it is clear. Encapsulation. So that's it. And watching and subscribe the channel to get the latest updates. Thank you once again.